Hello everyone, TAC1421 here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Online tournament. And this one we're going to be playing a Sharpedo deck. And this is going to be the Plasma Sharpedo from Plasma Storm. And we are going to have Deoxys in our deck as well. If you go over the deck very quickly, you see there's not too many Pokemon. We are playing the 4 Deoxys. We're playing a 4-3 line of Sharpedo. And that's it. So there's only 11 Pokemon in the deck, and there's only 8 basic Pokemon. So you will be mulliganing, whatever the proper term is, quite frequently. So just keep that in mind. It does happen because we are only playing 8 basic Pokemon. So yeah, so Deoxys, we all know what Deoxys does. Deoxys is a Plasma Pokemon, Team Plasma Pokemon, and it gives your Team Plasma Pokemon 10 more damage if they're attacking. And then also has a pretty nifty attack, which we will be using quite frequently, which is Helix Force. Helix Force for a Psychic Energy and a Colorless, does 30 plus, and you can power this up in one turn thanks to the Plasma, whatever it's called, this Plasma thing. Colorless Machine. You can power it up in one turn with that. So you Psychic Colorless Energy 30 plus. If this Pokemon has any Plasma Energy attached to it, this attack does 30 damage for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. So pretty cool. So it can really add up some good damage, and it also hits some other Psychic Pokemon pretty nicely. So we do have Deoxys in the deck, but it's mainly to power up our Sharpedo. What does Sharpedo do? Well, it's a Stage 1 Pokemon, 90 HP, Water Pokemon, and it has an ability called Rough Skin. And this is the primary reason why I kind of chose this Pokemon. I wanted to make a deck out of Sharpedo, and I was trying to figure out how to do that, and I thought, you know, if we're going to use this Rough Skin ability, we're going to try to put on some like Rocky helmets and stuff, and we'll get on that in a second. But essentially, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, even if it's knocked out, put 2 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So that can be pretty handy. And Hard Bite is the attack for a Water and a Colorless. Again, can be powered up in one turn if you get the right energy, if you get that Colorless Machine and the Water energy. It's Hard Bite for 40 plus. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 20 more damage. So if you hit heads, you do 60, and if you have 4 Deoxys in play, which is the max you can really have, 4 Deoxys, then you are hitting for 100 damage. So that's pretty good. And then if you have a Rocky Helmet on there and your opponent attacks you, well, that's giving them 4 more damage. So it's adding up a damage quite frequently. And then if you add a Laser and a Verbank, remember Laser is it poisons and has a flip to put them to sleep. And if you add that up and add a Verbank, that's 30 more damage, and that's doing quite it's doing a good amount of damage and really fast. So it adds up if you get all that stuff going. Now we're not going to be doing 100 damage every single turn with Sharpedo. It actually very rarely happens that you do 100 damage with Sharpedo with its attack. But if you do, you know, somewhere between 60 and 80 damage, that's pretty solid. And then the Hypnotoxic Laser and the Rocky Helmet with your ability kind of do the rest, the rough skin. So we are going to be playing some support cards here. We have the Dive Ball. We play one of those to hopefully get out either a Sharpedo or Carvanha. We play the Team Plasma Ball, only one of those to either get Deoxys or Sharpedo out. Play 3 Ultra Ball to get any of these Pokemon out. And then we play 3 Versus Seekers. I like to play a high Versus Seeker count. Usually like to play 4, but the list is pretty tight. Even though we're playing only 11 Pokemon, it's still a pretty tight list. We have this 1 Escape Rope, and then our supporters are 1 Lysander, 4 N. You can cut this down to maybe 3, put a Professor Birch in there if you wanted to. And then you have 4 Juniper, 2 Skyla, 1 Teammates, and that's all the supporters you have. So not too many supporters. I like to play more, but we do have a lot of tools. We have 3 Rocky Helmets, 2 Floatstone. Sharpedo has free retreat, which is kind of nice, but Deoxys has 2 retreats, so I like to put the Floatstones on Deoxys, and I like to save them too, just in case they Lysander, one of our Pokemon out there. So we do have Rock Guard as our A-Spect of choice, and this A-Spect is definitely very good with this deck. You don't really use Rock Guard too often, but this deck would fit it really well. It essentially is just like Rocky Helmet, except it does 6 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon instead of just 2. Rocky Helmet, as I discussed earlier, it's basically our ability, but in a tool card. So if you attach it to Sharpedo, they attack you. It's doing 4 damage counters to the defending Pokemon when they attack you, which is pretty good. Our energy, we have 14 of them. We have 6 water, 4 psychic, and 4 plasma. So that is the deck in a nutshell, and let's go ahead and get into the very first game. Alrighty, going into this very first game, I'm not really sure what we're playing here. I kind of forget. I recorded this quite a while ago, but we do start with a Carvanha. You notice that we don't have any supporters in our hand, which is kind of unfortunate. We will be able to evolve next turn, and we do have a Rocky Helmet, and we have some lasers, a Verbank, but that's pretty much it. We don't have any energy. Luckily, we're going second, and I really want my opponent to end me because we need a fresh hand. I do want to mention that this deck is going to be rotating pretty much completely in about a month after I do this commentary. So I really wanted to get this video out and do a tournament on it, showcase the deck, because I like the deck. It's pretty fun. We see our opponent plays a Wally, so no N. Luckily, we do get a Juniper, and I'm really leaning towards possibly just Junipering away. Even though I only play 3 Sharpedo, it's probably worth it just to, you know, get everything out there. We are going to play. I'm actually not sure if we play a Team Plasma Ball or not. We might just save it for next turn. Our opponent won't be able to knock us out as long as they don't get a double colorless, and I'm kind of just banking on the fact that they won't get a double colorless, but just in case, we're going to play a Deoxys and attach a Plasma Energy to my Deoxys, and then hopefully we can get a Sharpedo into play next turn, get the free retreat, and go into my Deoxys for the KO, assuming we get a Psychic Energy. If we don't get a Psychic Energy, that'd be very disappointing, but we're kind of living life on the edge. So my opponent does get the DC, but they stay asleep, which is nice, so don't really have to worry about that. Kind of dodge a bullet there. But yeah, this deck is going to be rotating soon, which is sad. All the Team Plasma cards are essentially rotating, and I'm going to play myself a Skyla so that we can probably get a Sharpedo into play, or maybe something else. Looking through my deck, got a lot of different options here. Now I'm going to see how many Deoxys are in my deck. That's always a good idea to check how many Deoxys are in your deck. It looks like I am going to get myself a Dive Ball, grab myself a Sharpedo, and just go from there. We can set up our Sharpedo to start attacking this turn, and so we're going to probably do that. We have the Colorless Machine, and we have the Water Energy. At the most, we can give 70 damage, and we do hit the heads, and there's 70 damage. That's pretty nice. And our opponent stays asleep, which means they are going to die coming into my turn. So we have the luck going into our side on this one pretty early on. Now, we could, if our opponent did knock us out, all we had to do was really just teammates and get a Psychic Energy and knock them out. So that wasn't too bad there. The heads definitely helped us get that extra damage. It helps to ensure that we knock this Pokemon out. Now, even if we wouldn't have hit heads, we would have only been doing 50 damage there. Our Verbank plus the laser, the poison, is doing 30 damage in between turns. They have 10 right now, so even if we wouldn't have hit heads there, it still would have knocked them out coming to my turn, so it wasn't that great. But for whatever reason, my opponent decides to attach a Float Stone to this Mewtwo that is about to die. Very questionable play. I'm not really sure why they did that. Now, my opponent is going to put me to sleep with the laser, and as soon as they pass their turn, assuming they don't have a switch, which doesn't look like they do, we are going to get our first 2 prizes of the game, and we do stay asleep. Actually, yes, we do stay asleep. So that's a little unfortunate. And what's even more unfortunate is we're actually going to die going into their turn. So that kind of stinks. The damage adds up. So our Hypnotoxic Laser kind of backfires on us. Our Verbank City Gym backfires on us a little bit, but that is no big deal. Now we are going to put the Carvanha into play. I'm probably going to end. It's probably the best thing to do here. Get a fresh hand of 4 cards. We might attach the energy, though, however. We'll see what we do. We are just going to end. Okay. And we get a Psychic Energy. We can attach that to our Deoxys, put another Carvanha into play. We have 2 Versus Seekers for next turn. We're going to save the Carvanha, however. We do wake up here, and we are going to die going into my opponent's turn. And now my opponent made a very weird play this turn. And now the best thing to do here for my opponent is not to attack me, because essentially if they attack me, that's doing 4 damage to them. And while if they don't attack me, I'm just dying from poison damage. So their best move here is not to attack me, just let me die from poison. They're going to play a Crystal Wall, which you never see. So my opponent's playing a very interesting little deck. And they are going to attack me, and they're going to put a double colorless from the discard pile onto their Blaziken EX. I don't see Blaziken EX very often. They do have 130 HP left after attacking me. And now what I can do, they have 4 total energy on me. I have my Deoxys powered up, and I can actually do 150 damage to them because I do 30 damage for every psychic energy, or not every energy they have on them. So they have 4, and yeah. So then we can just go ahead and knock them out. I'm not going to play the Carvanha because we only have one more Sharpedo left in our deck, so there's not really any point in me benching another Carvanha. I'm going to attach the Colress Energy to my other Duck Stalks, get that ready to go, just in case. We do 150 damage and get our our third and fourth prize of the game, which is definitely fantastic. We got a Sharpedo from our prizes, so we can evolve next turn. And now my opponent is going to put a Mewtwo into play, which is very questionable. They're going to play the double colorless energy, and they're going to be 10 damage short of knocking me out. I am going to go ahead and just Helix Force and get the victory. So, not the most competitive game per se, but our deck did run pretty smoothly. It kind of accomplished what it's supposed to. And hopefully you get a nice little glimpse of Sharpedo in action, the Team Plasma Sharpedo and Deoxys. You can see all the damage we did, which is kind of nice. Biggest attack was the last one. And yeah, drew a good amount of cards. Got some flips in our favor. My opponent flipped 7 tails. So yeah, we're just going to wait for our next opponent. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you guys can leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. And I will see everyone for round number 2. Take it easy, everyone. Peace.